Right then, I am going to take you through now a revision strategy, or revision technique I suppose. It's a bit weird, but we really found that it worked well with a couple of classes that we've done it with recently. So I'm just going to make a film to show you how to do it, but it's a bit odd, you just have to go with it, okay? This strategy is about memory, and when you go into your exams, whatever your exams you're doing, you need obviously to remember stuff. And the way that your mind works is it finds it quite difficult to remember just kind of bullet points and just facts. You might be able to remember some of this stuff, but if it's just learning chunks of text, it's quite difficult to do that. What your body or your mind really does remember is weird stuff, unusual stuff, unexpected things, unexpected images, and that sort of thing. Now the technique is called the room, and I'll just talk you through it. I'll talk you through how we did this with a couple of my classes and the sort of things that they put into their room. The idea is that you think about an imaginary room in which you're going to store the memories, the stuff that you need for your different exams. So you have a different room for different subjects, I would have thought. With English, we have a reading room. I suppose it could be a writing room. Yeah, forget that. We have a writing room in which we're going to store some of the techniques that we need, some of the writing techniques that we're going to need to use in the exam and that we're going to need to recognise in the exam when we read the texts that you're given in the exam. So, here's what we did. We imagined, first of all, a building. Now that can be whatever sort of building you like. Just imagine it in your head and imagine it in detail. Okay? For me, it was a big sort of skyscraper thing. And it's got steps up to it, this building. So imagine yourself walking up, I told you this was weird, walking up the steps to the door. And the door says writing room on it. So on one side it says writing, on one side it says room. You decide what's the font look like, what do the letters look like, what colour are they, what's the door like? Okay, so make those decisions. Try and make it memorable. For mine it was a gold-plated, handle things, and on one handle it says writing, on the other side it says room. So now see yourself opening the doors of your room and stepping in. Okay? It's dark, but turn to your right. So you can't see much that's going on, but you turn to your right, and what you can see, the first thing that we put in our room, in my class, was we put in ellipsis. Now ellipsis is that thing where you have 3 dots in a piece of writing, and it kind of often used to slow the pace down of the sentence, or to create tension or something like that, or to trail a sentence off at the end. On the wall, you've got 3 big red dots, okay? And they're freshly painted, and they are dripping paint down from them. So they're 3 round red dots. Looks a little bit gory, a little bit gruesome. And they're dripping paint down, right? And that's going to remind us of ellipsis. That's the first thing you see in your room. Now next to your dots, we had, it was a dog. But it's an absolutely huge dog. Now you decide what kind of dog you want. It's standing up like this on its hind legs, and it's carrying the paintbrush, because the dog is the one that's just painted the ellipsis. Now why was that? Oh yeah, because the dog's got paws, and the ellipsis makes the writer sort of pause a little bit because it slows things down. What's the dog doing? Right, so you walk on past the dog, and as you walk on, now let me get this right, it farts, but it's a huge dog, and it's standing upright. So that's like quite an event. It's quite kind of spectacular. And what that reminds us of is that we're looking at this huge dog, and we're smelling it, so to speak, and that reminds us of sensory description, so description using the senses, another technique. So in your exam, you might think, right, the writer uses, oh look, they're using the senses here. You can write about that, particularly descriptive writing. The next thing that happened is we wanted something for repetition. So a sheep walks on and starts, oh no, I've got this wrong. A sheep walks on, points at you and says, you did it, you did it, you did it. I think it was like E-W-E, because it's a U, like a sheep. And that reminds us of repetition. I warned you. So then you run away from this sheep, this like aggressive looking sheep. You want to make him as weird as possible. So again, I'd have him on his hind legs, but I don't know, let's give him some sort of hat. Let's give him a pirate hat. That'll help us learn him. Why would he have a pirate hat? I don't know, he just has. It's just helping it to stick in our mind. So you run away from this sheep, right, and he comes chasing after you with his pirate sword. You did it, you did it, you did it. So what have we got? We've got our ellipsis, we've got our sensory description, and then we've got the repetition. So there's 3 techniques that we learnt there. Basically, at this point, you need to take over. So you need to think of something weird that can happen next in your room and that can be in your room that is, for example, for alliteration. What else do we have in there? We had a crying baby that was purple and it was waving a Swedish flag and it was crying because it couldn't speak Swedish. And that was emotive language. The baby is emotional. I remember it was called Victor, the baby, because people kept saying emotional language and we wanted emotive. So it's called Victor to help us remember that it's a V on the end. Emotive, not emotional. So try and get something for emotive language, try and get something for alliteration, for onomatopoeia. One class did something, what was it? Something was onomatopoeia. That was for illustration. But it doesn't matter, it's up to you. You go through that process now. So do your room for writing techniques. And if you come across a new one, put it in your room. So whenever you're taught something new, put it into your room. Put it in the next place in the, or put it next to something else. So then when you need to access this stuff, what you do in your exam is you quickly go into your room and you look round and you see what you've got in there. So you can do one for writer techniques, one for presentation techniques, where you look at images, fonts, slogans, that sort of thing. You can do one for your literature. So if you're doing Of Mice and Men, you could have Lenny's room, George's room, or you could have all the characters in the same room and surround them with things that are important about them. Okay? You can do it for your other subjects as well. You can have your biology room, your chemistry room, your languages room. You can have a lot of rooms. But your brain can cope with this, because your brain is a remarkable, incredible, sophisticated thing. So, it's like kind of mental mind map, an internal mind map. So, that's it, have a go. Let me know how you get on. Okay? Yeah, I think it's a good one. Right, so have a good go.